Hi friends, AlaskaCraftyGalVictoria here. Today, this video is about how to do the join as you go on your mile-a-minute strips. I have an example here. This is my blanket that I've been working on, and I'm doing the join as you go method between the colors. But I wanted to show, I had a couple requests to show how to do the join as you go on your mile-a-minute strips. So I made a sample size here just for the video purposes because I think it'll be a lot easier to show on a smaller scale. I just think it'll be a lot easier. So for this video, you will need your mile-a-minute strips. You're going to need a needle threader if you can't thread your needle without one. I have a hard time. If not, you'll just need a darning needle, your crochet hook. I'm using an H, which is a 5mm. You'll need a scissor and your yarn. Whatever yarn, your color you're choosing to join your strips together. Now I have two different methods that I will be using on joining the strips. As you can see in the example, I have my center strip here, and then I have another color for a border, but I'm joining them with yet another border of gray. If you're just going to use your strip and the one color, I will show you that method first, and then I will show you if you want to do a colorful border and then have a single color that kind of ties all of it together. However you want to do it, that's totally up to you. I'm going to show you this method if you're just going to do this border, and then say this border was butting up to like the bread border. I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll show you the second method, which is having a neutral color join yet another round. So let's get started. Like I said, I'm just going to be using these little examples. I'm going to assume that you already know how to crochet, you already have made your strips, and now you want to do the join as you go method. So we're going to pretend like these are my big long mile-a-minute strips here. And I will be joining with pink just to, you can see the stitches better. So I'm going to be using this color here as my example. Now this is just how I do it. I don't know if it's the proper way or what, but this is just how I do it. So you're going to have your two strips here. You're going to do your border, and I'm going to make a slip knot. Insert my needle. And I like to start in the upper right-hand corner of my mile-a-minute strip. You know how you have like the chains here, the spaces? I start in this upper corner one. Now, normally when we turn a corner in like our granny squares, we do the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Slip your hook into that corner space here. You're going to slip your hook into here. And I like to not just join yarn, I like to make like a slip stitch, and then I chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I do 2 more double crochets into this space. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. We're going to do our regular corner. On the very first strip, you're going to get the entire corner done. You're going to complete this whole strip just as you would a normal border on a granny square. So we chained 2, and now we're going to do 3 more double crochet. There you go. There's your corner. You got your chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, all into that same corner space. Then we're going to go right into this space here, and we're going to do our 3 double crochet, and we're not chaining in between each cluster. And then into this corner space, we're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So there's the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And this will turn our corner here. So see how that is? You just turn your corners to make your border. And then down the side of your chain, your long sides of, not your chain, your long sides of your strips, you're just going to go into each of these spaces here. So the big spaces, not the little space here, not the little single crochet, spot there. You're only going into these big spaces. And you're just going to put a cluster of 3 double crochet into each space like that, all down the side. And when you get to your next corner, you will do your 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, just like we did on the corners here. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I'm going to work down this side, putting 3 double crochets into each of these spaces, these big spaces here, and I'll meet you back at this corner here. Okay, I am approaching my next corner. I'm worked all the way down the side here, as you can see, putting 3 double crochets into each of these spaces. And I am approaching my next corner, which is here. And I'm going to turn the corner, just like before, with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into that same space. And then into the space here in the center, we're going to do our cluster of 3 double crochets. Remember, we're not chaining in between any of these clusters other than on the corners. Oops. Now we're back in this corner here with our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So as you can see, it's just like when you do a border around a granny square, except it's on a strip. And then we're going to work 3 double crochets into each of these chain spaces until we get back to this corner here. And then I'll meet back up with you and I'll show how to join. Even if you want to use another color, I'm going to show how to join that way first. And then the second way, I'll show you how to join with a neutral color like this one here with the neutral color if you want to do an additional border. All right, so let me finish up these here and then we'll bring this yarn in and I'll do the join as you go. All right, I am back to this corner, and I'm just joining with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that we started off with. I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. And a lot of people will tie off there, but I like to slip stitch into the next stitch. I just feel like it makes a, I don't know, a better, more secure. Cut our yarn. Tie off. Now I'm going to sew in my ends now before I start the next join, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, now we're going to do the join as you go if you're not going to do the additional border like this. If you're not going to do the additional border where they're the same color, I'm going to show you as if you were going to join just the 2 colors next to each other. And then we'll move on to the additional border. So you always want to start off with your first strip completely done. Completely made, completely done. And we're going to join these 2 together with, I'm going to use this purple color here. Hopefully you can see this okay. So like I said, I like to start off with a slip knot. Now what we're going to do before we get to this side to join, I'm going to do half of this strip until we get to the corner. So I'm going to start in the corner and instead of doing a full corner cluster, I'm only going to do half a corner cluster. So I like to join my yarn like this. You chain 3 and you do 2 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2. So I'm only doing half of the corner when I first start, because the second half of the corner is going to be the joining bit on the corner in your completed strip. So I'm going to push this over here for a second, and then I'm going to continue as usual. I'm going to do my 3 in the center and then do my regular corner here. I'm going to go all the way down this side. I'm going to come around this corner with my 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, my 3 double crochet cluster here. And then when I do this corner, that is where we're going to do the join as you go into this corner here. I hope this makes sense. Just follow along because it's all going to come together in the end. Keep doing this all the way down until we get to this corner down here. We're going to do this corner as normal with a 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. We're going to do our 3 cluster in the middle, and then when we get to this corner, that's where we're going to join these together, and then we're going to join as you go along this side here. And I'll meet you back up when we get to this corner here. All right. I went down the whole entire side. Of course, it'll take you longer because you're working on a normal size strip. But I'm back to, we started our cluster here, but we only did half the corner here. We did our normal clusters all the way down the side. I am approaching my last corner on that side here. So I'm going to put in my 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets, my chain 2, my 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do my normal 3 double crochet in the center here. The center cluster, there's 1, 2, 3. And now this corner here is where we're going to start the join as you go method. So you're going to do your first 3 double crochets for that corner. 1, 2, 3. Now again, this is just the way I do it. I know there's probably other ways. This is just the way I figured out how to do it the other night when I was working on this blanket. So you don't have to do it this way. This is just one method and my suggestion. That's it. I chain 1 because there's always a chain 2 in your corner cluster here. So I chain 1, then I take my other strip. Make sure you're paying attention to the wrong side here and the right side. The wrong side you can tell because it's the back and it's got the, you can see those stitches, the back cluster of the stitches, and the front is nice and smooth like a regular double crochet. You're gonna go from the back. You're gonna take, you chained 1 after you did your 3 double crochets. Now what I like to do is into this corner on this one here, I go from the back side, so it's going to be like this. So I pick it up, I go through the corner cluster, the center of the chain 2 of this one, I hold on to this, and I join like that. Just do a slip stitch. And then I chain 1 again, so that's your second chain now for this side. And I do my regular 3 double crochets to complete that corner. 1, 2, 3. Now in the corner, see how it's joined now? In the corner is the only time I do the chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. For the rest of these, we're not chaining 1. We're literally doing a slip stitch into each space. So, corner. Now we're going to slip stitch into this space right here, this next big space on this side. Do not chain 1 down the side, only in those corners. So I go in from the back. I hang on to the yarn a little bit right there. I do a slip stitch. And then I do 3 double crochets into my next space on this side. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go, so see now that's made, you've got your corner attached and you've got the next spot attached. Now we're going to go into this next space because we're just matching them all the way down. See now, you go into your next space. You've already slip stitched here. Now you're going to go into this next available space from the back. I go in from the back. I grab my yarn, I do a slip stitch, and then I go into this next available space on my working strip that I'm working on and do 3 double crochets. Then you go into your next available space on this side with a slip stitch. I go in from the back and do a slip stitch, and then I go into my next available space here and do my 3 double crochets. And as you can see, we're just joining with a slip stitch into the next available space here. I just hold on to this yarn with my thumb a little bit, and then I tighten it up, and then 3 double crochets in your next available space on your working strip. I'm calling this one my working strip, the one I'm currently completing. This is my finished strip, obviously, here. Then we're going into the, see how we've joined here? We've joined here, so we're going to go into this next available space in between the clusters. From the back, I hold on to this one here. I kind of just, and then slip stitch, and then 3 double crochets into your next available space on your working strip. Then I'm going to go into my next available space on this strip here. I'm going to go into this one, join with a slip stitch, do my 3 double crochets. Now this is what I wanted to show you guys, because when I was trying to figure out how to do it, I assumed it was just like joining a granny square. But it threw me off because I got to this point and I was like, oh no, I still have this space and this space, but I only have, see, I have this space here still, and I have the corner, and I was like, oh, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? And I was trying to figure out, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I know why. You're in your very last space on the working strip, but you still have this space here. So that's correct. It's not wrong. You slip stitch into that one. You do your 3 double crochet into your corner space here. Remember when we started in this corner, we only did half the corner. So you complete this corner now by doing your 3 double crochet. And just like we did the corner up here, you're gonna, this is the only time you're gonna do the chain 1. You're gonna chain 1. You're going to join into that corner space here with a slip stitch, chain 1 again, and slip stitch into the top of your chain 3 at the beginning. And I like to do another slip stitch in the next stitch. And there you have it. You can cut your yarn at this point. And fasten off. And weave in your ends. But that is how you do join as you go method. And it's nice. It's so much faster. I wish I would have known about the join as you go back when I had made the owl granny square blanket afghan I had made my daughter. But it's just nice. It works up really quick. And you've got those 2 beautiful colors butted up next to each other. Now, if you wanted to do additional borders, like I did on this one here, you basically just do the same thing with your solid color or whatever other color you're going to be using in the center here before you do the join in the same, like I would do gray here, a border of gray on the pink and a border of gray on the purple or white or whatever other color you're using. And then you do the join as you go method this way, just like we did here with the colors. But instead of having these 2 colors right up next to each other, you would have the border that is the same color on each side. So to me, it's like less noticeable just because they're both the same color. And that's it. Easy peasy. I'll show you that real quick. I'll take this slip knot out, and then I'm going to do another border around each side of these and then show you. Be right back. Okay, now I'm going to do, whereas say you wanted a more neutral color, I'm going to use red for the sake of the video, but say you want to have a border and then do an additional border. A gray, a white, a beige, a black, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to use black because black just doesn't show up well, but I'm going to use red. Now, I've noticed when doing mile a minute, sometimes, depending on the yarn weight, sometimes you will have this situation. And you're like, oh no, why is this one longer? It's not going to fit. Trust me, it will work. Some of my strips, even though they were the same count here, some were like way off. But once I did the join row, it evens everything out. This yarn that I used, the pink, is a slightly lighter weight yarn than the purple that I used. It's okay, don't panic. It will work up just fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my red color here. I'm gonna do just like I did when I initially started. I'm going to complete another round on one of my strips, my first strip. Then I'm going to do half of this, because the other half is the one we'll use to join. So let me work that up really quickly, and I will be back to meet you up for this is, I'm calling method 2. This is just if you want an additional border. If you don't need to watch the rest of this video. It's basically just repeating the first round, but joining with an additional color in between so that both of these have a final border of red. So let me get to that point and I'll be right back. All right, I finished this one. I'm going to do the half a round on the next strip so that both borders are red. I want you to remember when you start, you want to start in the bottom right-hand side because you're going to work half a corner, do your normal clusters along here, do your corner, work all the way down this side here, do your corner, work to this corner, do your half corner here, and then start your joining here to work down this side. That's why you only want to start with a half a corner here. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. 3, and then you're going to go into the next, in between the next 3, into this space, and there's 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to go into your corner chain 2 space here with your normal corner of 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, your 3 double crochets, your chain 2, and your 3 double crochets into the same corner space. And then just all the way down this side, between every 3 cluster, you're going to put 3 double crochets, no chaining in between. You get to the corner chain 2 space, you're going to do your regular cluster in this corner of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, because by now it's going to look something like this. You started here with half of a corner. You did your normal clusters, your regular corner. You worked all the way down your clusters. You've just completed this corner here. Regular corner, half a cluster. Now we're going to work our regular cluster in between here, between these next three and these three. You're going to work your regular cluster right here. Then between, here's the corner, between these three right here, 1, 2, 3, and these three for that one, you're going to do 3 more double crochet. And now that we're back to the joining corner here, we're back to the joining corner here, and this is the one that we're going to join to this corner here to do the join as you go. But remember, we're going to do half the corner cluster first before we join. So in this corner, we're going to do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Now this is where we chain 1 because our corner cluster has a chain 2. There's 1. Then we come in through the back of that chain 2 space of our joining strip, do a slip stitch, chain 1 again. There's our second chain for the corner, and then do 3 more double crochet into your working strip that you're joining. Now we've joined it here. Now to continue down this side, before you do your next cluster into the space after these 3, before you do your next cluster here, you've got to slip stitch into the cluster of 3 on the opposing side. Just slip stitch, no chaining, and do your 3 double crochet into your working strip. Then you've done that now in the corner that you joined and into the first space. And now down each side here, down each, in between each cluster, you do your first, you always do your slip stitch, and then your 3 double crochet into the adjacent side. So next space here, do your slip stitch, and then do your 3 cluster of double crochets. Always do your slip stitch first, and then do your 3 double crochet in the adjacent corresponding matching cluster. Then you do your slip stitch into the next space on that one, and do your 3 double crochet cluster. And you just keep doing that all the way down. next one. And remember, as we get to this corner, you're going to think you did something wrong because you're going to have a cluster available. And then you're like, but where am I supposed to join the corner? But remember, that's why we only do a partial corner in the beginning of this attaching strip. See? That's the space we go into because that one is the corresponding cluster here. And then you're thinking, but I don't have any more spaces, but you do because you still have this cluster, which is the corner cluster. This one is that one. It really threw me off the first time I did it. I was like, I did something wrong, but you didn't. It's all works out. Okay, so now you connected there, and now we go into that corner space on this one here. And complete your 3 double crochet to complete this corner. Now this is the only time we chain, remember, is in our corner. So we chain 1, we go into the chain 2 space on this one, we chain 1 again, and then we join with a slip stitch to the chain 3 on this one here. And I always like to go 1 or 2 more. I usually just do 1, but sometimes I'll do 2. It just depends on how I feel. You can even go however you want, but 1 or 2 is, to me, sufficient enough. And then we cut our yarn. Oops. Sorry, I bumped the camera there, guys. Tie off. Weave in our ends. And look at that. Join as you go your mile-a-minute strips. There you go. You join as you go, mile-a-minute strips. And this is if you want a mutual colored border in between. I used red just so that you could see how it blends. This is method 2 if you want an additional round for your border. You can do as many borders as you want. Just always remember, have your first completed, and then your working strip, you complete half a cluster in the corner. Work your clusters all the way around as you normally would for a border, and then half a cluster, and then in your joining, and then this side is empty, and you join as you go with a slip stitch into here, 3, slip stitch, 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 3, slip stitch back into your corner with a 3, and chain 1, slip stitch, you know what I mean. I just showed you. But anyway, that's it. Look, guys, it's all done. It's tight. This is not going anywhere. And this is the join as you go mile-a-minute method. I hope you like this tutorial. I hope it has helped you out in any way. And it just works up really fast. And do you see what I mean about the length? Because you have the same amount of stitches in between here, it's always going to work itself out. And when you get all your strips together, you can even do an additional round on the outside of the blanket for however many you want, or you can leave it just as it is because it's already bordered. So that is it for me today, guys. I hope this has helped you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This was a viewer request. I appreciate you watching. Have fun making your mile-a-minute blankets, afghans, mug rugs, whatever it is you're making. And we will see you in the next video. As always, thank you for watching. AlaskaCraftyGalVictoria here. Bye-bye.